I was not tutoring, but this guy was asking for some help for computer science A levels, and it was funny because we're talking about what he had done before, and I forgot the years, but he was going through the years. I don't know how to phrase it. It's almost like 2018. This happened, and then he mentioned, I think it was either 2019 or 2020, and then he said, "Oh yeah, we don't have anything for that." And so I was like, "Oh, how come?" And then I realized, COVID. So he was saying, but basically, that whole year was almost a write-off.
Right.
Even in the teacher's eyes, like they've adjusted the whole syllabus.
Yes.
Based on that year, and so he kind of used that as a way of saying, "I don't need to know that because that was in the write-off year." Like that was the year where it was okay not to know because no exams that year.
Yeah.
Predicted that year was a mess though.
Yeah.
The whole predicted grades thing.
Yeah. Very messy.
And so now this, obviously 2022, this is recorded in, is I think the first proper year.
Yep.
2021
for a few years.
Was kind of like we're getting back sort of thing. So
2021 we even had.
Oh yeah, true.
At the beginning of 2021,
true.
From January to the beginning of March, we weren't in school.
True.
So
so this is actually the first proper year so far.
Yeah, teachers are tired, boy.
that we're back somewhat to the swing of things. But now everyone's asking the question, what impact has COVID made on education? Like, I saw one report that said people have become like 20% dumber or something like that because they've missed 2 years-ish. Or I think the way they phrased it wasn't that. They said like their mental age has gone down or something.
Right, yeah.
They're basically saying that, they've gone down. So, I don't know, as a teacher, what have you thought about COVID and how it's affected like your students and that?
When COVID first hit, I don't think any or very few schools were prepared for it in terms of home learning and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I teach primary school and I'm actually in an infant school which stops at year 2, so my children are very young.
Right.
So online learning wasn't...
Yeah, you can't really do that.
Yeah, it wasn't our main priority. It was, and I think the whole world, well, England in particular, the UK in particular, went very heavy on mental health, well-being, etc.
Yeah.
You had your 1 hour a day
to joke or something.
to joke, or one time to get out of the house, whatever it was. But everyone, big on mental health and blah blah blah. And my school, we definitely weren't prepared for home learning, and so it really was. When we say schools were closed, schools were really closed. They were open to key workers' children and vulnerable, after a period of time, vulnerable children.
Right.
And so my school, we sent home home learning packs, like paper packs, but not really, no input from teachers. It's just, look, here's this pack of paper, go through the questions and do it. Whereas some schools had online learning and interaction with the teachers. I remember I called, I had to kind of call and log the calls to every child. And actually, myself and my 2 TAs at the time hand wrote a message to every child.
Nice.
Enveloped, got like a pencil and a sharpener, put it in a little bag, drove around to every house.
Nice.
One day we just got in a car, drove around to every house of every child in the class, gave it to them, stood outside the garden, or depending on how the families were, and just spoke to the child. And honestly, I know, I mean, that made my COVID experience amazing.
Yeah.
And I know that made both some children's experiences and some parents' experiences. But then fast forwarding now to No. So yeah. Fast forward into September now. So the academic year's done in 2020, and we're moved on to the 2020-2021 academic year. And I remember in that September, everyone's, oh, what are we gonna do? The children are so far behind. They've missed 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months of learning, blah blah. And it was a big panic, and it was it was real, you know, and it was quite a valid stress. So anyway, the government have put these things in place, given schools money to build like hours, to give children a certain amount of hours to have extra learning time, basically. And so the year's going on, and we get to Christmas, and Boris makes the announcement: you can't see your families at Christmas, and furthermore, schools will be closed for blah 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 blah. And so that's January to, like I was saying, to the beginning of March. So again, it's like, oh, the children haven't been in school, and the schools are closed, and what are we gonna do, blah blah. And I must say, that time, schools were more prepared for home learning and whatnot, and interaction, education wise, not just to do with mental health and well-being, you know. And so that then kind of passed, and that academic year finished, and then we the next September comes round. What are we gonna do? Oh my gosh, the children haven't been in school, blah blah. And I can't lie, man, I've got to this point, and I was saying to me and my colleague were having a chat, and we're just looking at our class lists and making our predictions for SATs. I mean, I teach in year 2, and so year 2 do SATs, right? And so we're looking at the practice papers that we've been doing, looking at scores, and we're looking at some children and thinking, ooh, this is looking techie. And honestly, no word of a lie, there's very few out of the children in my class, there's very few that I can say, yeah, COVID has affected them. On a serious note, like, if COVID didn't happen, they still wouldn't be where they need to be.
Oh, okay,
that. Like, on a serious note, they still wouldn't be where they need to be. Yeah. And so, asking the question, how much has COVID affected the education system? Greatly, because for years, because even if you think down to babies, children that were born in COVID, you forget that babies need interaction, right? They go and see their family, and they maybe play with other children their age, or children a little bit older. Yeah. They go to stay and play, like play groups. All of those times they're learning. So the children that are born in COVID or just before COVID didn't have interaction at that age. They only had interaction with whoever's in their home for however many months, and maybe even a year, because if they're newborn, their parent might not want to take them out. You know what I'm saying? So yes, it's going to affect the education system for a very long time. We also didn't have we had GCSE predicted results. No SATs were done. And I honestly don't think SATs are that important, but no SATs were done. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think there's two sides to it. Some people will be affected a lot, and some are using COVID as an excuse. Right. Some teachers are using COVID as an excuse. Right. I can say that hands down. No, I don't care. Yeah? Yeah, because I even had to okay, yes, we've been out of school for a while, and yes, it has affected a lot of children, whether that's academically or socially, it's affected children, but you've got to look at two things. Okay, it's affected them, so how are we going to resolve it? And that is a huge, huge task. It's bigger than a teacher, and it's bigger than a school, but you've got to do something. And then the second thing you've got to look at is, like I said, listen, is it COVID that has affected this child, or were they a low attainer before? Because if COVID didn't happen and they were a low attainer, the teacher would be under a lot of pressure to get that child to where they need to be. Why is that child not where they need to be? Yeah. But because of COVID, a lot of teachers have been given almost like a line to say on COVID. Yeah. they're this grade because of COVID.
Yeah, 100.
Yeah, they were doing well, but they're not doing so well because of COVID. And I feel like it's a bit of a cop-out.
Yeah, it is.
And I've stopped myself saying that. I said to my colleague the other day, honestly, this group of children would have still been in the same position had COVID happened. And so, yeah, I think it's just about, and I think I said before, my school's motto is the best start in life for children with no excuses and no compromise. And I'm really trying to stick to that, because I don't want to have, you know what I mean? I'd be doing the children a disservice if I gave myself an excuse for not teaching them correctly. Do you know what I'm saying? So, to answer your question, yes, COVID has had a huge impact globally, worldwide, and it's a bigger problem than an individual teacher, and it's a bigger problem than a whole school. But what can a teacher do in that time to get the children to where they need to be to the best of their ability? Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
But the other question I have is, do you think schools have lost their necessity because of COVID? Primary schools might be different because with younger kids, like especially your age group, interaction and connection is key, and the fundamentals of learning is key. More so the older GCSEs, maybe A levels, sixth form. What COVID highlighted was the fact that I could, for the older lot anyway, I can actually do it without you.
Right.
I could potentially learn a whole syllabus without you. Like, I can actually do it. So now I come back to school when now I'm having to rely on you to give me my information, when past 9 months, 6 months, I've had to just go to YouTube or go to Google or work out myself, call some friends, whatever. I made it work without you.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's now this now fresh look at school. Or do I before that was the one, I don't need to be here, but people used to say that in the sense of I don't want to learn. But now there's a genuine I don't need to be here because I can generally learn.
Yeah.
Regardless of school. What do you think?
Yeah, yes and no, because you wouldn't know how to learn if it wasn't for, say if you're in year 11, if it wasn't for year reception to year 10, you wouldn't have the fundamentals and you wouldn't know how to learn.
When does the fundamentals stop? For me, I agree with the fundamentals and you have to go to school for that. But where does that stop? For me, it stops a lot earlier than year 10.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I'm saying if that child's in year 11 and they're taking exams and they're saying, I don't actually need you to revise or to learn. So that's why I said year 10. I think the fundamentals stop, I think year 8. What do you think?
I'm trying to define fundamentals now. Because
I think it's because I think it's how to learn. I think that is
which isn't really taught at all. I get primary school. For me, I think year 6. And then school becomes something that you go to for interaction as opposed to learning. Because you can't not have especially with no after school clubs and all that stuff, to now say there's nothing, and you get no social interaction from anywhere, I think that does more damage than good. But to now go to this place expecting to be taught when potentially you could get a better learning yourself, which already preps you up for uni life anyway, because that's mainly at your own accord, and then even more so when you're actually working, it's your own, do it or don't do it. I think your fundamentals stop at year 6.
Do you think a year 7 child could independently learn.
How old's a year 7?
12 and 13.
100%.
But remember the mindset of a year 7 child though.
I'll never shake off the fact with the Jews back in the day where your bar mitzvah was at 13, which means you was an adult at 13. They treated you as an adult at 13. And that 13-year-old is no different from a 13-year-old today in terms of they're not smarter. Like they're
in terms of the science.
Biologically speaking, they're not any different.
Yeah.
The only difference is society has made a 13-year-old today seem like what a 4-year-old was in that guy's day. And I think that's the issue. When you ask, could a year 7 learn independently? I would say no. But that's not because he can't.
For some years, I would say no, though.
But that's not because he can't. That's just because he's grown up in a society that still tells him he's a kid. Which I don't think is right. No, I'm not saying that year 7s need to get a job. But I think if the culture was shifted, that you're responsible for your own life. You're still living at home, so it's not like go out and pay bills, but you're responsible for at least thinking about your own path and all that stuff from an earlier age. I think you see a lot more people rise up. And the funny thing is, year 7 is actually the best time, because if you remember, year 7s are always the year group that starts off polished. Like when you first come into secondary school, year 7s is the batch where it's like, I'm always trying to impress. I'm always trying to be the good. And then
depends on who they're trying to impress.
Most of maybe year by year, but most of my year 7s, because you don't know who you are yet, your default is always what you had in year 6. And in primary school, the relationship between you and the teacher is a lot stronger. Like there's a lot of I want to do well in school, and so you just carry that over in year 7, and that kind of gets lost in year 8 and year 9 when you realize actually I don't want to be that anymore. I want to get my approval from my peers or whatever. So I think year 7 is the one for me.
Right.
Again, it's hypothetical, but I think that's what COVID has done for me in terms of it's really made me think how necessary might be too strong, but how necessary schools were for learning GCSE A-level section. Because YouTube, the amount of playlists out there for revision, and not even revision, for actual teaching. Like, if you didn't have a teacher, you could actually learn your whole syllabus.
At your own pace.
At your own pace.
Make notes.
The only thing you won't have is what you had.
Questions.
The input from the teacher.
Interaction, yes.
And again, my hypothetical world is then my school would be just for that. Learn at your own pace. You have an exam this date. Here are the links. And we're open from this time to this time. If you ever have a question, ever want to come and just chill, here we are. And then let people do what they want.
Yeah.
I feel like schools are going to change. I feel like the way we learn, because of COVID, I think it's highlighted. It's opened up a lot of conversations. And now we have examples from COVID.
Yes.
That we didn't have before.
Yeah.
So I'm interested.
Yeah, I think, and again, it goes back to kind of what I was saying earlier when we was talking about university. What kind of person are you? Because if you've got that drive and that desire to do well, in school, outside of school, in Mars, wherever you are, you're gonna do well. You're gonna be driven to do well. If you procrastinate, don't really care, you sit down for 5 minutes to revise, you close your book and you go and play PlayStation. In school, outside of school, on Mars, wherever you are.
Here's a question for you though. Would you want that person in your school?
What, as a teacher? Yes.
Because
I know the type of person they are, so I know I'd want to keep an eye on them and make sure that they're getting their work done.
even if it is at the detriment of other students being pulled down.
What do you mean?
Like, the class clown, which I was at one point, has the effect of pulling the atmosphere of the room down anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Where a productive lesson is now less so because either the teacher's spending a lot of time, right, Jack, enough, that side, or the teacher's had enough and not done anything, and so the class clown now gets to rule and make jokes with that person, cause fuss with that person, and so now people's attention is now drawn to this guy or this girl, whatever. So at the risk of that, would you still keep him? Or her?
Yeah.
Is it? I'd have him out.
Full.
For me, I feel like school should just be, if you want to come, come.
Right. Okay. Got you.
Like, I just can't see why. It was me and Jimmy were speaking about this earlier. We were talking about the French schools, and they have stage, not age.
Okay.
So you only go up when you pass,
Right.
as opposed to in our system where
You go
your
up
age,
regardless. Yeah.
you go up. And I said I prefer that because now it means that who you're with in the beginning is with everyone, but by the time you get to year 11, you know you're with people that have done the stuff to get there, as opposed to, and you know that if you're behind, you're now with youngers when you really should be. And so now you've got a decision. Either I just say I'm out because this is embarrassing, or all right, let me catch up. And now you start doing
It's embarrassing, or it's very difficult. I've encountered. I think I would have said that before I started teaching, but I've encountered a lot of special needs.
I think that's a special case, though. Pun intended.
Yeah, but
Because a lot.
no, but I mean special needs that is not visible.
Mm-hmm.
So then
Every bad kid is special needs, though, right?
no, but there are some real underlying issues that aren't diagnosed or aren't diagnosed early enough. Like I have some children, I've taught some children that why aren't you listening? Why can this child not do this? I've had conversations with the head teachers, their name's been brought up time and time again. Why can this child not? 2 2s, they're autistic.
Right.
2 2s, they have ADHD.
But what?
2 2s, their dad beats their mum at home.
I hear that. But what does that mean in terms of? Okay. So does that mean it's still okay for you to do what you have to do at the detriment of the rest of the class?
No, but I think the reason why I think school shouldn't be an option like the way it is now is because some children come from a house where
School an option?
no, I'm saying the reason why school shouldn't be an option. It's not an option now. You can't say I don't want to go to school, so I'm not going to school.
Oh, but you're saying there should be an option.
No.
Saying it shouldn't be an option.
Yeah.
Like you should just go to school.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Everyone
now.
should have to go to school.
Like it is now. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's not, yeah.
No. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I did a double negative or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way it is now, and the reason why I agree with that is because some children come from a household where maybe their parent dropped out early, or their parent didn't get good results, their parent's not educated, the parent doesn't care, their parent works so much during the day that they wouldn't know if the child was going to school or not, unless the school called them. And there are a lot of those children that fit in those categories, by the way, a lot of them. You're just robbing that child of an opportunity. Simply because, okay, this particular child may not be the brightest, but at some point it might click. And you're just robbing them of an opportunity.
I don't think so.
Definitely.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because the child may not care because of the home that they've come from. You can't take an opportunity away from a child because of the home that they've come from.
But it's not an opportunity taken away. If it's optional, it doesn't mean that you have to pay for it. It's still for free. It's optional, so you say, I don't want to go because now that's the cool thing to do. If it's a culture of it's optional, it's almost like the same way GCSEs, I don't think should be optional. I don't think there should be any compulsory GCSEs. Maths, English, I don't think should be compulsory. Let them decide. The reason why I say it is because the same way we spoke about you paying for something means you value it. If you say you've chosen this, there's now more of you in it.
Yeah.
And if you choose not to do maths, you're going to hear the cries of the people who made a mistake 5 years ago. Because they would have not done maths thinking, oh yeah, who needs it? And then they go for a job that says, oh, GCSE, C maths, please. And now it gets ringed back a couple of years. So someone's going to have to take the bullet for it. And people will say the advice, I hope you get it, and they say no. But those scars are going to ring back where now, 5 years down the line, someone's now going to do their GCSEs and says, actually, nah, I don't want to do maths. And they can hear the elders saying, nah. And it means more now. It's not now my teacher telling me, oh, son, do maths, because... No, this is my uncle who didn't do maths. Okay, so I got to do. So now it's theirs. And you have that dynamic with school where if school is not... If school's compulsory like it is today, you just take it for granted. I'll just use it like... I don't know if you had citizenship or PSHE.
Yeah.
That was a free lesson, bro.
100%.
That was a joke lesson, and they were trying to. RE even was a free lesson for us. They're set because it's compulsory. I didn't ask you to be here.
The government asked you to teach it, so
you can see the teachers don't even care about that subject. So because it's compulsory, there's certain things I can just take liberties with. However, if school wasn't compulsory and I can actually choose to be there, I think me saying no would matter more. Like, I would feel it more.
Do you think that teenagers could make that decision?
100%.
No way.
100%.
A year 8, a year 7 child saying being given the option to go to school.
I think you're babying them too much.
No, but it's not even that. It's they don't have the maturity.
Oh, I think so.
Nah.
To choose whether or not to go to school.
Because what would be... There'd be some children that are very naturally bright that would still choose to not go to school.
For what reason?
Because it's cool.
For how long? But that's what I'm saying. If you give it an option, that's not going to be for 5 years, them saying, I don't want to go to school.
No, but exactly. Then they've missed, say, for example, 2 years, year 7, year 8. What are they doing within that time? And then they're like, oh my gosh, in year 9, oh my gosh, I need to go to school.
You go back to school?
Yeah, we've missed 2 years.
Well, not really, because it's not by age anymore. It's like going to uni. Some people go to uni at whatever.
So what, they go back in at year 8?
Take an exam, see what your level's like, go back.
Yeah, that's very messy.
How?
I just think you're robbing them of an opportunity that they don't know about, And that's my point. An
But-
opportunity that they don't know about.
But what's-
Because if
what
they're
opportunity?
walking and you're like around the corner is good grades, a job,
Potentially.
blah blah blah. Yeah, potentially,
Because-
because not every child is going to get that.
And most of the people that would say no are the ones that, most of them, I don't think there's a lot of people that would have got good grades, and then in this hypothetical world would have said no, I'm not going to school.
I disagree.
Most of them would say I'm not going to school. I'm not going to school.
Not most of them, bro. There'd be some that don't get good grades that would say they are going to school. There'd be such a mixture. And so I'm saying around the corner, there's a job, and it might not be you're going to be rich, but there might be a job, a good career, more further education, all in place. And because you haven't turned the corner yet, you're still just walking down that road, and all you can see is, oh, I've got to go to English. Oh, I've got to do this. I've got to do that. There's not that maturity to make that decision.
I
To
think
say I'm gonna go to school because around the corner there's this, that, and the other. There's not, especially those children that I'm talking about that have come from households where their family hasn't been academic. Their family has dropped out of school. Their family used to bunk, or their family got bad results. Their family doesn't think anything of education. So everything they're told about education is, nah, I dropped out, so you can drop out. I did bad, so you're gonna do bad. That doesn't have to be the case. Do you know what I'm saying? I teach children that are absolute geniuses, and their parents will admit, honestly, I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to the homework, because I can't even read myself, or I was never academic. I didn't get good grades. But the child has so much potential. The culture in the house may be anti-education, but the child has so much potential. What about that child? That's where I say you're robbing that child of an opportunity.
I think the reason why we disagree is because we're seeing it in two different points in time. It's like you're seeing it as if tomorrow we say school's now optional. If that happens, I am 100% with you. For the next couple of years, that's the case. People are going to get robbed in that sense, because the only reference point you have is someone who hasn't gone through this, and so they will just tell you what they've experienced, which isn't the culture there. I'm saying 10 years, 5 years down the line, that culture doesn't exist anymore. Because you've had people who have listened and unfortunately had missed the opportunity and been scarred, that now can generally go to the youngers and say, nah, this is the opportunity, sort of thing, which is more likely to hit those people and make them go, actually, I want to go, because the culture would have changed by then. In the beginning, I agree with you. I don't think it stays like that, though. I don't think that's how it goes in this make-believe world, because you look at uni is optional.
But you're an adult.
Have you seen some of the Freshers Week part pictures that have come up on?
Of course, because you're still a teenager. But, and to be fair, no, even adults. But uni is optional. But that's because it depends on what you have a better idea.
It doesn't.
Should have a better idea of what you want to do.
Because even I've heard the arguments in uni saying that they're too young to sign up for you should be wise enough to know that you're paying 27 grand plus student loan and accommodation, whatever. But people are now coming out of it saying, oh, I was only young. I should have. How can you expect me to know? You should have known. It's simple maths. You might have not understood the consequences and how it played out in reality. But even then, come on. Like, let's not play the baby game. What age? 35? Oh, I shouldn't. I think that's where, for me, I just go back to that 13-year-old at one point in history, and not just for Jews, for a lot of cultures, even in England, you were expected to know or be quite mature at a very young age.
Yeah.
15 even, let's say, it's not 13. And so I think people have different definitions of adulthood, which makes the whole conversation complicated. But for me, in that age, when I say you're an adult, I don't mean you're paying bills and you move out the house. But I'm saying that really you could, not even adult-minded. Common sense is triggered at that age. Right and wrong, you can still go to juvenile prison. So clearly you're held to some sort of accountability. There must be some sort of stretching of, okay, I know, I really do know that X, Y, and Z will lead to X, Y, and Z. I might not know all the consequences, fair enough. And that's why I have parents. They might not be the best, fair enough. I have other mentors. They might not, some people are literally just dealt some very bad cards. And those cases I feel for. But I think when it's given as an option, definitely if you take it, you're more likely to keep it than if it was compulsory. If you don't take it, I think at some point in time, the difference between those who have taken it and haven't taken it will become so clear that you really have to be ignorant to not say, okay, yeah, let me just go to school. And the last thing, if school was optional, I still think there would be people that would join school that know that they're only going to school because they know that it will be good. Not necessarily because they want to, but they just know
the greater good.
It's just the opportunity I should take. Hypothetical, though.
Interesting conversation.
All right, well, we might as well not lie. This is an outro. You are at the end. And we want you to do what every YouTuber says. Like, comment, subscribe.
Share.
Share's
a big one, personally.
It is. We're trying to grow something. This is this common room thing is basically we're trying to help common people get access to elite information.
For free. At this stage.
For now.
For free for now, yeah. I like that.
But we're really trying to help. We both have a burden. Russell, all three of us have a burden just to see normal people get access to things that only money would really get. Big money would only really get you.
Absolutely.
So if you like what you're hearing, please share. Help this. Help this out big time. Or if you've got a question, a thought, a comment, feel free to DM us, email us.
Get in touch.
If you're brave enough to do it with your name on it, comment down below. If not, then we got an email, tcrpod@outlook.com, or Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Our handle is tcrukpod.
I'm also going to throw in as well, send in a voice note. Like if you want to send a question or again a comment or anything of that nature, then send in a voice note, like you would. Record it and send it to us, and we will actually feature your voice note on the pod as well, and then respond. Do you know what I'm saying? So it would be great to hear from you guys a bit more live and direct as well.
Cool. All right, we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, see you then.